Becca here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a fun little sewing vlog. We are going to be sewing up the new free pattern from Pattern for Pirates, and it is the Judy Tee. It's just a basic oversized t-shirt. I have not done it, so I am going to show you how easy it is to go from purchasing a pattern, even though it's free so you don't have to purchase it, but getting the pattern onto your computer, opening it, and to get started cutting. I have not planned this at all, so we're gonna go pick out some fabric and get the pattern and then get cutting. And so I have about 40 minutes until I have to leave. My daughter's napping before I have to go pick up my son from school. So we are gonna just go get as much done as we can. And I think I should have time to be able to get it done. It is a pretty quick sew. We're gonna just go through, get everything, and get as much done as we can. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna head over to my computer, and I'm already cutting stuff out. So I have my projector on. I'm just gonna show you here how quick it is. We're gonna go to Pattern for Pirates. Nope, not Pattern Projector. Pattern for Pirates. Open up the website. Alright, and nope, that's there. Okay, here is the Judy Tee. Okay, it's called the Judy Tee. I will put a link to this down below. So it's an oversized tee. It has a crop, a top, and a shirt length, a crew or scoop neck, and then a long or a short sleeve. And it's kind of a drop shoulder, just loose fitting. So like I said, this is free. So I'm just going to add it to my cart. View cart. Proceed to checkout. I shouldn't have to do anything besides log in so that it goes into my account, because it's free. So even if you've never purchased from there, you shouldn't have to put any payment information in. So I'm placing my order. And all right, so there it is. I'm not going to download the tutorial because this is just a basic tee and I'm not going to follow the tutorial. I know how to sew it, and that's kind of one thing as you sew. So I'm just going to download the projector file, and then I am going to go to patternprojector.com, which is the software that I use. You can see here I already had a pattern pulled up in there, and my projector is already calibrated, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I did have to calibrate it, it only takes like a minute to use the software. Again, patternprojector.com. Amazing. Even if you're using the old school, doing it through Adobe, try out Pattern Projector. It is amazing. And I just have to go to my downloads and open it up. You can check your sizes here. I am just gonna sew up a large. I'm typically a medium large in Pattern for Pirates, but since this is an oversized tee, I'm just gonna go with the large just because. So now I have my pattern up, and all we have to do is pick out our fabric and then get started. I'm gonna take you into my closet of sewing. Now, so this is actually my closet. You can see I have all of my fabric, well, not all of it, stored up here. And I do have some more. I have a whole nother closet, but again, that is in my daughter's room, and like I said, she is napping. We are gonna, this is all from Sincerely Riley right here. Then we have some Millie Mae, a shop that closed, and then Fabric Universe, and then down there we have So English, which is now Amanda's Bundles, and Olga's Closet. So I am thinking I want to do, I don't know, do I want to do t-shirt or long sleeve? Short sleeve or long sleeve? If you were sewing it, what would you do? T-shirt, long sleeve? Let's find some fabric that speaks to me. Oh, I know. I actually have this fabric from Hobby Lobby. I want to make a lounge set with it. How much do I have? Because I'm going to make pants with it too. So that is going to determine think I have, let me see. So I have about 4.5 yards. So I don't know. I think I need to cut the pants out first. Okay. New plan. We are going to, let's see. Let's head down here. Take out. I know. Okay. We're going to take you on an adventure to my third fabric closet. This is our linen closet, and I have all of my boho fabric in there. And I bought this fabric for a t-shirt. So you can see I have 2.5 shelves of fabric in here. So this gray slub fabric. All right, let's go get cutting. Okay. So this I only have 1 yard of, so I am going to do the short sleeve. I can get 2 pieces from, or I can't get a long sleeve from. Get cutting. All right, and I want to show you guys real quick how I adjust for length. So I am 5'9". Most patterns are drafted for typically like 5'5", 5'7". So I have to add 2 inches of length to my pattern. So I'm going to do the top length. And so I'm going to show you how I do this on my projector. So the first thing that I do is I cut out the top. Oops. I cut out the top of the shirt as written, and I think I'm gonna do the scoop neck. So I cut that out, and I always like to cut a little notch at my neckline so that then when I put my neckband on, it's nice and easy to quarter. So I cut out my sleeve, or my arm side, my shoulder, and my neck, and then I will cut down about 1 inch or 2 from the arm side on that side seam here. And so now what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I am going to take my ruler, put it at my hemline, and I'm just going to go on my computer and shift it down 2 inches. And now I'm going to cut my hemline at that point, and then start going up, and then I'm just going to merge these 2 lines so it kind of comes in here. So I'm going to keep my waist is longer, so I need that waistline, so I'm going to keep my waistline, and then I'm just going to go on up and merge to that seam, and now my piece is done. So basically all you're doing is you're just elongating the seam. You want to keep the same shape of it from the top, and you got to kind of see too on where you need your length. So most patterns should also have a side waist length. So if you have a small side waist length, and you might have a long like lower waist, or your torso could be longer from like your belly button, your waist down, then if that was the case, then you would want to cut down to your waist, keep the side waist length the same, which the waist length is from your arm side to your waistline, and then just lengthen it from the bottom there and draw that line down to the hem. So you kind of have to see, sometimes, you know, people have really long shoulder areas, and you would need to lengthen the top of your shirt instead of the bottom, where if you were doing that, you know, you would kind of cut your arm side and then raise that shoulder point. So it's all very dependent on your body of how you need to make those adjustments, but that is kind of just a general way of how I do it using my projector, and it's super easy and super quick to do, to just add basic length. So now I'm gonna cut out the rest of it. We're gonna just cut it out, do some time lapse. You do want to make sure that when you add your length, you do it on your front and back pieces. I also have to add length to the sleeve, so I do it the same way. For a long sleeve, a short sleeve, I don't bother adding length. But you do want to make sure you make those adjustments to your front and back pieces, otherwise you're not going to have an even pattern. So, doing my back now. Go here. All right, we got about 25 minutes. Now I have everything cut out. And so now we're gonna sew up. I did the crew neck, or no, I did the scoop neck with the short sleeves and the top length. And then again with my length adjustments made it to the bodice. So I am gonna turn my projector off so we don't have that on the top. And like I said, I am not gonna be referring to the tutorial, other than I will check to see what the hem allowances are, and it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance that's included on the pattern, so it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to lay my pieces on top of each other with right sides together, line up the shoulder seams, and usually I switch my fabric or my thread and my serger, but I don't really feel like doing that today, and I really don't think I have gray. So we're just gonna stay with the white for today. And you're gonna pin your shoulder seam, and then we're just gonna sew across both of those seams there. And you can excuse my bins over here. Those are my works in progress. And so now we're gonna just sew these with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I always just go right into my next seam. And then trim it, and we have that. So now we're going to do our sleeves. So we are going to lay out our bodice right sides up, laying the sleeve side flat. We're going to take the sleeve. So this actually has a front and back to your sleeve, so you want to make sure you have the right one. Your back piece is going to be the piece that has the lower or the higher neckline on it. On this pattern, most patterns, that's typically your front neckline goes down in front of your front. You cut your notches. This is my front, so I need my other sleeve. So you just want to make sure you have the right sleeve. It's going to make it way nicer. So you're going to match up your center point notch to your shoulder seam. And then I always just on my sleeves match up the end of my sleeve to the end of my arm side. And do that on both sides, and then I will kind of work in and line this up. And one thing, so I will say here, like I said, I've never done this pattern before, but it is weird that this pattern does not have notches on the bodice. It should. If it has notches on the sleeves, you should have notches on the bodice to be able to easily match them up. You shouldn't have to like figure out which one is your front and back. You should have the notches on there. But again, this is a free pattern, but I would expect if they put notches on the sleeve to put it on the bodice as well. But what can you do? So now we're gonna go sew the sleeve on. So you can see here how I have it pinned, and you're just going to kind of go slowly and rotate it and ease it in, and then I'm going to do the other sleeve as well. And I like to, when I sew my sleeves in, I sew with the sleeve on top, because that's really what you're easing into the arm side. I don't know, it's my preference. And you gotta make sure you're using 1/2 inch seam allowance, and keep those edges lined up, because you do have your curves are going together. Got one sleeve, and honestly a lot of times I don't even use pins. So like this sleeve, I'm just going to start over here, match up right sides together, match up the ends of my sleeve to the end of my arm side, and then I'll just hold it, and as I sew I will ease it in and keep those edges lined up. So it just saves a lot of time to not have to clip it or pin it. And as you get more experienced, you can get more comfortable with that. Alright, so now I have my sleeves sewn on, and so now we're going to sew, so you can see just how like boxy this is. We're going to sew our side seams. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our shirt inside out, lay it out like a t-shirt, nice and flat with right sides together, and you're just going to come to your side seam, and I always start at my armpit, match my seams up, pin there, and then I work my way down. And then I do my sleeve. So if you're doing the long sleeve, this would be the same. You would just have a longer sleeve to pin down. So now I'm going to just go and I'm going to sew here, pivot at my armpit point, and then sew down the rest of my sleeve. So we are getting very, very close to being done with this shirt already. We just have to sew up our side seams, add our neckband and hem, and then we're done. So we're just gonna and I am actually using my thread. Oh, I ran out of thread. So maybe I should have changed my thread. I guess that's karma, huh? All right, so that one's almost out too. Didn't even notice that one was low, but like I said, I think that was karma for not changing my thread, because if I changed it, wouldn't have happened. But I guess I will get a chance to show you guys air threading. So this is a Baby Lock Imagine, and it does have air threading in it. Yeah. Which means my serger basically, in theory, threads itself. So put your thread on. It threads the loopers. And this is an old machine. I think this was like the first machine that had it. So I'm just going to thread my fabric here. I'm going to push this button. And what that does is it brings these little pipes in right here, and that is where my thread is going to go. And then I'm going to set it to, I need my upper looper, So I have 2 holes here, and you're just gonna take the end of your thread, and I need to trim it. It needs to be nice and smooth, just like if you were threading a needle, otherwise it gets bunched up. So I'm gonna trim that, and then you're just gonna take it and put it in that hole and just kind of keep pushing it in a little bit, and then all you do is you go push this, thread's there, and it shoots your thread out. And mine didn't come all the way out because this wasn't long enough, so I'm just going to pull this down again and do it again, and my thread just shot out. You probably couldn't see it because it's just a piece of thread, but then I just release my lock. I'm going to give it a twist, close this up, and now my machine is threaded and ready to go. So you don't have to worry about all of that finagling with threading your serger, which is great. And again, like I said, this is a very old machine. I think they're like 20 years old or so. But again, this machine is amazing, and you can get them for relatively cheap for a serger. They're around $500 or $600 used, but it is a great investment if you're looking for a quality serger at a low price, if you are willing to use a used one. But like I said, this one doesn't have any issues other than you cannot change the light bulb yourself, and my light bulb died, so that's why I have no light on my serger. But now I'm just going to sew here. And what I was saying when my thread ran out is that I only used 1/4 of an inch on the sleeve on this seam here, because I do typically have things tighter on my bicep, and I don't really like that. So I'm just gonna adjust it, and like I said, my thread ran out on this one. Okay, so I have to re-sew my sleeve on here. I didn't even notice that. Where did that go? So you can see right there, it wasn't sewing that. So I'm just gonna start here. I'm gonna turn my knife off and sew over that. Okay, and then I'll just cut that tail. What time is it? It's 10:17. I have to leave it like, I gotta be done in about 10 minutes here. We should be done. So I'm gonna turn my knife back on, and then, so this one, even if I don't use my pins or clips, I usually still do my arm side just to keep that lined up, and then kind of work down, and then sew that side seam again. And so now when I pivot, this corner is where I'm going to start my half-inch seam allowance. And I hear my daughter, so I might have to be done sooner. She's babbling. We have that, and then so now while I am over here, I'm just gonna grab my neckband, and all you're gonna do with your neckband is, I have stuff stuck to my feet. You're gonna put it right sides together, line up this short end here, and you're gonna sew that short end. And so I'm going to just do that real quick. I'm not going to pin it because it doesn't really need much. Do that, make it round. And what I like to do with my neckband is I'm going to just clip my quarter points. So here's one, and then on my fold, just very, very small, I'm going to clip out at my fold. And then I'm going to match those little clips that I made with my fold here. So basically this is just another way of quartering it. Where did my scissors go? What's great about this is that they don't hide, and especially because this is a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So then I'm going to just come to this end. You're going to just cut this off anyway. So you just need to make really little, even on a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, this would be hidden. But so then I'm just going to, with wrong sides together now, fold my neckband in half and match up all of those notches I made with each other when I line them up. here. So you should have 4 pins in there. And again, this is the scoop neck. So if you're doing the crew neck, your neckband is going to be a little bit smaller than this, but it's still the same process. So there's my neckband. And then I'm going to take my neckline. And so I talked to you guys about this when I was cutting it out, how I put those notches on my front and back at that fold line, which is a really good practice to do, even if you're not doing a neckband. If it's a lining or something, it's just a good way to be able to have another way of lining up your pattern pieces. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my neckline and find those notches that I made and line them up, and then line up my edges, and then find this fold. So you can see here, this is not my shoulder seam, and I think that's where a lot of people, actually I don't think, I know that's where a lot of people go wrong when attaching their neckbands, is that they try to use their shoulder seams as their quarter points. Now sometimes, very well, that could be the case, but never count on that. Always check it. So like here, this is like 1.5 inches off. So if you tried to use your points, your shoulder seams as your quarter points, you would have way more fabric in the front for less neckband. And it's going to cause a lot of bunching, and it's all what causes all of those wrinkles in your fabric. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our neckband and match up those notches. So I always like to take my seam of my neckband, and that is what goes in my center back. So, the hair itching my nose. I'm going to just take that, line it up with that notch there, put that in the clip, and then just work my way around. So I'm going to find now this notch I made on the side, line it up, and I'm going to line up my notches, and then my pin is just kind of there as a guide to know that's in general where the points go. But when I'm sewing, I'll take my clip off, and when I get to each section, and just make sure that those notches stay lined up, because clips are very finicky, they're very thick. So like I could have my clip right here, but my notch could be all the way over here, and then you're off by like 1/2 inch, and again, that's going to make your neckband not even. So that's why these notches are really helpful. So now I have it on there, all quartered and pinned or clipped, and then I'm just going to come over here and sew my neckband on, and I'll kind of show you how I make the adjustment. So I always start at my center back, gonna line up, get that tail out of there so we don't have to worry about cutting it. Line up the raw edges of my neckband, slide it under there, and because this is a 1/2 inch seam allowance behind my neckband, I'm just going to start right at the edge and then kind of verge to that 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then when I come back around, I will go over that again and cut it to make it even with my back neckline. So here I'm just going to take that clip off, make sure my points matched up, and I'm not going to stretch it at this point, just going to get it started. And when I get my needle at that seam point, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to take this clip off so I can see. I'm going to find my 3 notches, line them up, stretch my neckband slightly so that it is pulling my shirt neckline taut. I don't want to stretch it too much that my neckline is stretching as well. And then I'm going to keep one hand here holding those notches in place, and then as I sew, I'm just going to start in little sections here and come and line up each piece, hold it here so I'm at about the edge of my serger. I'm going to sew that, and then when I get my fingers there, then I'm going to adjust and do that again. And then I'm going to keep my fingers to that notch, and now my notches are right at the edge of my presser foot, and then I'm just going to do it again. So now I'm going to come here, take this off, line up my notches, stretch my neckband, line up the edges of my neckband. This is rolling a little bit, so that if it rolls, it makes it a little bit harder. But the more you do this, the more you kind of get it to lay nice and flat and even. And you just work in sections. I just like to hold my neckband stretched at those quarter points so that I can make sure it's even and then work within that section. As I sew, and you want to make sure that your edges all stay lined up. And then again, come over here, line up your edges. And finish off. So then when I get around to here, I will cut off that seam allowance. So here, the seam allowance, I'm just going to cut it off, make it nice and even. And then I will pull my neckband here, finish sewing, sew off a chain, cut that, trim this, knot it up, trim my tail, and there is my neckband. And then if you wanted to, you could top stitch it. All right, so we are at 10:30. I've got to get going. My daughter is awake and yelling for me, and I got to go get my son. So here is my top right now. All that I have left to do is hem it and hem the sleeves. So I will come back and get this all hemmed up. But for now, we are gonna sign off. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. It's at Sewbexx. It's SEWBEXX. And I will share this finished shirt over there so you can check that out and see it. All right, so I did finish my top, and I thought I would just come back on and just show you guys the finished result, so I didn't leave you hanging, even though I didn't get it done the other day. I definitely would have been able to if I wasn't trying to film and do those kind of things, and if I had my fabric picked out, because this is a really quick sew. I mean, you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seams, and then you attach your neckband and then hem it, and then that's all. Here is the finished shirt. It is super cute. The one thing I will say, this is the top length, and as you saw, I added the height, or the length for my height, and it's still, I would not call this a shirt length. I do like this length, actually. I tend to wear high-waisted jeans, so my belly button's like right here. These are kind of a mid-rise pant, so like I would wear like a high-waisted jean or something with it, and I think it would be really cute. You know, you could just tuck the front end right into those jeans, as long as you have something that comes up, or depending on what you were looking for, but or like with high-waisted leggings, I would really like this. But if I was looking for a shirt length, to me, shirt length is like hip length, kind of mid-hip, kind of right here, so maybe even like 3 inches longer. So I think it's a tunic length is the other length, and I don't know how much length there was added in this, but if you were going for like a true shirt length, I would add like 3 inches, measure it. I would, you know, that's really what I would do, is decide how long you want it and then measure shoulder to your hip and then compare it to the pattern and kind of adjust from there. So that's really my only kind of negative of this pattern, and that's just kind of knowing. I believe it has finished measurements in there as well, so you can look at those, but just kind of keep an eye out for that. And there is a cropped length as well, and like I would call this kind of like a modest crop, and then a crop I would maybe just expect it to be a little bit shorter. So depends obviously on what you are wanting, but other than that, again, this was the scoop neck option, and then there was a crew neck option as well, and then long sleeves, and I believe the long sleeves are cuffed but you could always just add a little bit of length and hem those as well. But overall, for a free pattern, I am loving this. You remember I went to the larger size. I'm kind of in between the sizes of a medium and large. Went to the larger size, so it isn't boxy and oversized. It is definitely still loose and flowy fitting, but it's not like super oversized. And the sleeves, I have a bigger bicep, and a lot of times they're tight, but I have a lot of room in there as well. So I definitely will be making more of these, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Again, I will put a link to this pattern down below, and it's free, so you can grab that pattern. I'll put a link to Boho Fabrics as well, where this fabric is from. And if you like this type of video, leave a comment down below of another pattern that you would like to see me sew up, or do you want to see more free patterns or more just vlogs of me working on something? Just let me know so that I can make sure my content is hitting the mark with what you guys want to see. So thanks for watching. Bye.